In a quiet dojo on Okinawa, a man stands still, his fists clenched, muscles shaking, breath controlled. A partner strikes his stomach, then his thighs, then his chest, again and again. But the man does not flinch. This is not a test of strength. It's a ritual, a way of life. This is Uechi-Ryu, a style of karate so raw, so stripped of pretense that most of the world has forgotten it even exists. But it does, and it is iron, rooted in ancient Chinese fighting systems, hardened in the hands of Okinawan warriors. Uechi-Ryu is not a sport. It's not even self-defense in the traditional sense. It is a path of pain, a path of discipline, a path of steel. Born in 1877 in Okinawa, Kanbun Uechi was just a young man when he made a decision that would change the course of martial arts history. Fleeing Japanese military conscription, he sailed to China, to Fujian province, the cradle of southern Chinese martial arts. There he studied under Master Shu Shiwa, a legend of the Pangainoon, half-hard, half-soft tradition. Kanbun trained for a decade, living among Chinese martial artists, absorbing not just techniques, but a philosophy. When he returned to Okinawa in 1910, he carried with him a secret, a style few had seen outside China. But Kanbun was a reluctant teacher. He believed martial arts should never be used recklessly. It took years before he opened his heart and his fists to the public. In Uechi-Ryu, everything begins and ends with one kata, Sanchin. Translated as 3 battles, it represents the struggle between body, mind, and spirit. But in Uechi-Ryu, Sanchin is not poetic. It's visceral. The practitioner moves slowly, deliberately, every muscle engaged. Breath is controlled, locked in rhythm. A teacher walks beside, striking, checking posture, tension, awareness. It is meditation. It is torture. It is enlightenment. Unlike other styles that have dozens of flashy forms, Uechi-Ryu focuses on just a few, because in Sanchin, they believe, lie all the answers. Iron body training is not a gimmick. It's not a circus act. In Uechi-Ryu, it is survival. Practitioners routinely strike their own limbs with rods. They punch trees. They kick heavy bags filled with sand and gravel. Their knuckles calcify. Their shins deaden. Why? Because in the real world, there are no pads, no points, no referees, only survival. Uechi-Ryu fighters believe that your body must be harder than the opponent's will. And in that philosophy lies their most brutal truth. You do not overcome your opponent. You outlast them. Most modern karate styles trace their roots to Okinawa. Uechi-Ryu dares to go deeper, to China. The original name, Pangainoon, reflects a key balance in martial arts, hard and soft. Just as water can carve stone, so too must a fighter be adaptable, flowing, responsive. Kanbun Uechi took with him 3 core forms from China: Sanchin, the iron form Seisan, the combat form Sansei-Ryu, the dragon form. These were not just physical movements. They were spiritual texts, preserved, not modified, passed from teacher to student like sacred scripture. In its earliest form, this martial art was known simply as Pangainoon, meaning half-hard, half-soft, a style born in the smoky tea houses and hard stone courtyards of southern China, a style passed not in manuals, but through bruises and breathwork. But names change with time and with lineage. Kanbun Uechi kept the name Pangainoon during his early years of teaching in Japan. His students respected him deeply, but many knew little of his past. It wasn't until his son, Kane Uechi, entered the picture that the style truly found its identity. Kane was more than just a son. He was a bridge. He formalized the system, introduced standardized training methods, and, most importantly, gave the style its name, Uechi-Ryu, the style of Uechi, a tribute to his father, a statement to the world. This is our family legacy. This is our martial code. Under Kane's leadership in the mid-20th century, Uechi-Ryu evolved, not in essence, but in structure. He added new kata, kanshiwa, kanshu, seichin, to provide a smoother learning progression for beginners before they touched the original Chinese forms. He introduced more formal kihon, basics, partner drills, and a clearer curriculum. He modernized, but never diluted. The transformation from Pangainoon to Uechi-Ryu wasn't a betrayal of the past. It was a way of protecting it, of giving it roots in a world that was quickly changing. And thus, from the shadows of China and the soil of Okinawa, a new tradition was born, carrying an old soul under a new name. Today, Uechi-Ryu is practiced across the globe, in Okinawa, mainland Japan, the United States, Brazil, Canada, and parts of Europe. But it has never become mainstream, not like Shotokan, not like Kyokushin. Why? Because it never sought to entertain. In a world chasing medals, clicks, and followers, Uechi-Ryu remains unapologetically internal. Its practitioners aren't obsessed with head kicks or spinning back fists. They're obsessed with breath, with balance, with breaking down their ego, punch by punch, stance by stance. It is one of the few remaining systems where kata is treated not as choreography, but as scripture, where Sanchin testing is not performance, but a purification rite, where hitting and being hit are not violence, but communion. You won't find viral clips of Uechi-Ryu masters on social media, but in quiet dojos, far from the spotlight, they exist. Old men with iron forearms, young students with hungry eyes, people who understand that strength is not in domination, but in discipline. Why did the world forget Uechi-Ryu? Because it never wanted to sell itself, because it refused to adapt to the tastes of the crowd, because it chose to preserve its silence rather than shout over the noise of modernity. But perhaps forgotten is not the right word. Perhaps Uechi-Ryu has simply been waiting for those who are willing to endure discomfort, to embrace the mundane, to bow, not to the mirror, but to the floor. And perhaps the true beauty of Uechi-Ryu is this. It teaches us that you don't need to be loud to be powerful, that you don't need to be famous to be wise, that even in the chaos of the modern world, iron can still whisper. If this story moved you, if you believe the old ways still matter, then don't let this be the end. Like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this with someone who trains, someone who seeks truth in sweat. Join us on Patreon for deeper dives into the lost arts, the true masters, and the philosophy behind the punch. This is Archangel Dojo, where combat meets culture, and where forgotten warriors are never truly gone.